All right, we're back here on the Chase Must podcast, taping this on a Wednesday afternoon. I am delighted to be joined by someone, Coach. I was telling Derek before we got started here, I actually was at a game you coached at Georgia Southern years ago because I'm from Georgia originally in Atlanta, and a lot of buddies went to Georgia Southern. And seeing your offense and seeing you coach and rise up the ranks, I've had a front row seat. Georgia Tech, I've been very familiar and very in on what you've been doing for a really long time. And I am just so grateful that you would make the time, come from a Army, Marine, Navy family, two retired lieutenant colonels in the Army. My dad's a retired captain in the Marines. But I'm just very ecstatic to have you on the podcast this afternoon. How is everything going?
Great. I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate you following along as I've gone through my coaching career. It's been a lot of fun. I've been very fortunate and just incredibly fortunate to be here at Army.
Do you miss those Georgia summers at all? Or are you good in West Point right now?
I tell you, I really loved Statesboro and living there, and the people.
Really?
The people in that community made that place special for us. And we still go down to Savannah. We like that part of the country, and we still like to go down there and get that warm weather in the summertime, and get out of the cold sometimes in the winter, which is nice. So probably you do the same, but this is just a great place to live. We love living here at West Point. Over the 4th of July weekend, we were out here on the lake here at West Point. There's several lakes and ponds and streams, and just beautiful country. So we got out there. The kids were having a great time. So what a great place to be in the summertime right up here.
Is that your go-to kind of getaway? Is the lake for you to kind of recharge your batteries and to just not think about football for a little bit? Is that your deal?
And my folks got a place in the Upper Peninsula, Michigan that
we're
going to for, 40 years. And so each year we spend a week with my parents and my brother and his family, my sister and her family up the lake up there. And it's fantastic. We did not make the trip this year, unfortunately. There's kids having babies, and my brother's daughter, and my parents just their travel is a little bit limited just for them by themselves. So somebody's kind of got to travel with them. So it's hard when you're coordinating that many people. It's a little bit challenging, but we're hoping we'll get back up there this year. My kids and my wife might get up there in August when we start preseason camp, and
awesome.
Kind of away from the football grind. But that's a place for us to just kind of put the phones away. And I guess head coach is tough to put the phone away ever, but put the phones down and just enjoy the time. And so we go up to the lake, and we do go down to Savannah. We enjoy that. That's kind of a restful, peaceful place for us.
Have you gone to a Savannah Bananas game yet?
I have not. You know what?
Okay.
We were just there last week, and we wanted to go, and they were sold out every night. I looked for tickets online. It's sold out. Next night, sold out. They are making a show of that Savannah Bananas.
Yeah. It's something, it's on a bucket list for me. It wasn't on it before, and I'm like, this is just something you have to go see. Like, the crowds are packed, but I didn't even think about like just selling out every night. Like it's a tough ticket.
Yeah, there were about 7 games in a row up to the point where they hadn't had the ticket office open for the games beyond that. But every one of them sold out. It used to be the Sand Gnats. You could sneak in through the center field fence for the Sand Gnats games. I mean, there wasn't anybody there. They'd be glad to have you. They'd be paying you $1 just to come in. But they've got it going down there. So a lot of fun, and I haven't been to a game yet, but looking forward to that sometime.
Is baseball your non-football sport that you like watching the most?
Oh, I grew up a Cubs fan, so I went through some tough years watching the Cubs growing up. But when they won the World Series a couple years ago, what a great source of pride for the city and for all of us that had cheered for the Cubs for so long. And growing up, the Chicago summers, they were hot. I mean, Chicago is really hot in summertime. And about 1 in the afternoon every day, we'd come in from the backyard or from the neighborhood, and we'd sit down in the air conditioning and watch the Cubs. And Jack Brickhouse did the games on TV on Channel 9, WGN, and Chicago. And then, Harry Carey was doing the Sox games, and then the Cubs brought Harry Carey over. So Brickhouse and Harry Carey were kind of trading off doing radio and TV. and I mean, I had two great announcers. It's fun to watch the games, some great players, and that was the sport I watched. And if we were going to a game, a pro game, we were going to a baseball game. You could still go and sit in the bleachers for $5 and buy a scorecard for 25 cents. You got a scorecard and a pencil, and it's 25 cents, and you'd keep scoring. Hot dogs were $1, and I mean, it was a cheap, fun day to go up to Chicago and go to the Sox game or go to the Cubs games, and so I watched a lot of baseball growing up. I don't watch hardly any sports on TV anymore, except on Saturdays after we play our games.
Yeah,
I'm a football junkie when it comes to college football. I mean, I will watch every game until 2 a.m, all those Pac-12 games, and I love it. But that's the only time I watch sports on TV.
I'm right there with you. It's a running joke here on this show, and my family gave me grief growing up, was just that, like, I would stay up for Boise and Hawaii. Like, June Jones, like, Colt Brennan was my guy, Jared Zabransky, Kellen Moore. Like, I just love diversity in play styles. Like, that is something that is so much fun and it goes to what you're talking about. And like, I had a coach here locally who coaches at Pigeon Forge, longtime head coach, state title wins. He's running the wing tee. He has coaches and college coaches calling him about like concepts to implement for their stuff. And it's just cool. Like, I like variety and just what you have to adapt, and learning how to best scheme for against a wing tee, and like, okay, how does the high hat, low hat situation work with something like that? I'm so curious about it. Like, I want to watch, I want to learn, and you want diversity. And when you watch an Army game, you're getting diversity. And I'm not going to lie, I don't really know what went all into it. Coach, I was a little sad that, because I'm here at University of Tennessee, I'm a Knoxville, Tennessee guy. We had you on the calendar for next year. My family having an Army back, like, that was just right there. I was so excited. Tennessee Army next year. I was really looking forward to that. That was going to be fun. I imagine it would have been a pain in the butt for our Vols, but it would have been fun, and I would have enjoyed every second of it.
I don't know if it would have been as much of a pain for them as it was for us. They got a good team. They're very talented, well coached, and they're
very different styles, though. Like the air raid tempo versus what you're doing. That would have been so much fun. I would have enjoyed that.
It is a clash of styles, and we played quite a few teams like that. There's more and more teams that are up tempo and going really fast, and that we played Western Kentucky last year. They were just a scoring machine. What a great team, and incredibly talented quarterback, and we managed to sneak out of here with a victory against them. But it was two completely different styles, but that's what's fun about college football, and even kind of in mainstream college football, you'll see Tennessee play a completely different style, just right in their own conference. They play Kentucky. That's two completely different styles of football. So, we had that game on the schedule for a long time. It didn't work out, and that happens sometimes in college football. That you got to make some changes to the schedule. But anyway, we were excited about the opportunity. Unfortunately, it didn't work out.
Yeah. Maybe in the future. You never know. We never know what the future holds there.
Never know.
Can you believe you've already completed 8 years? When I looked at that, and it blew my mind, because I was like, he was not at Georgia Southern that long ago. And it's like, oh, I'm older than I thought I was. This is not good. You've already completed 8 years. Does it feel like it for you?
Yeah, well, I'm older too. I wish that wasn't the case. I got a lot more gray hair, and less of it to show for it. But it is sometimes difficult to look back and believe it's been 8 years here. But it's been an incredible building process, and we're still building, we're still growing, we're still improving, a work in progress. And I'm excited about this 9th season and this team we got coming back.
You're extremely successful at home too. What is behind that? Why do you think you're so tough to beat in your building?
I think you got to win at home, and we take a lot of pride in playing here and defending this turf, and There's been some great teams and great players that have played here, and just a lot of pride here at West Point. We're playing in front of the Corps cadets. I think our guys, when they've only got to travel 30 minutes down the road to the hotel, they're in familiar surroundings, and dressing in our own locker room. I think you're just more relaxed. I think we're all more relaxed when we go home and sit on our own couch than we are putting our feet up on somebody else's couch. So perhaps that's it. But we do take a lot of pride in playing at home and winning at home, and not letting other teams come in here and get the best of us. And a few have in recent years, but we've won more of them than we've lost by a good bit. And so that's a great source of pride for us.
Is there one game on last year's schedule that you're still thinking about that you were just like, I saw it going differently in my head, and just the week of where I've just talked to so many coaches, and it's so interesting where they do have like this gut feeling about how a game's going to go. Because like when you dive in film and you go over so many different scenarios and you think what you're going to be able to do, and like if it goes this way, like here's how it's most likely going to go, is you pretty much have a good feel by Thursday and you just want to play by that point. Is it the same with you, where you have a good idea of how the game is going to go based on the film you've watched up until like Thursday or Friday?
Sometimes it really does. What we've prepared for, what we've seen, it kind of goes the way we hoped it would. I think it's always those games that you don't play your best, or somebody gets the best of you, that you look and feel like, what was it that we didn't do to prepare? What could we have done? And I think there were that Ball State game last year was a challenge for us. I think even during that week of preparation, it was, we had a good stretch to open the season. And we were going to have to live with that game for 2 weeks, and coming off a preseason camp and some games early, and playing down at Georgia State, just really hot. We played really well, but really hot. Just, I think our guys I could tell we were a little fatigued. We needed a bye week really bad. And I was just hoping we could get out of that one with a victory. And we didn't. They beat us, and it's unfortunate, but I could kind of feel that thing going, maybe not our way, even through a week of practice. There's some games where I felt like we're really prepared, we're ready to go, and then didn't perform as well as in the game as I hoped we would. There's others where I thought, gosh, we are not practicing very well. We just don't seem to have that it factor this week for whatever reason. And then we get to the game on Saturday, and the guys get rested up in the last 48 hours, and we play better. And I think throughout the year, throughout last season, and probably as I look back in every season, there's probably games like that throughout. And sometimes they're really up and amped up, and that's natural in some games. But a lot of the season, you just got to play. You just got to get prepared and play, and hope that it's good enough on Saturdays. And I think our guys do a really good job of that. They're very professional in their approach. So they do get themselves mentally prepared for the game plan, and emotion is a part of being able to have success or playing your best, but emotion doesn't win. Execution wins. And when our guys are really prepared and they do a good job mentally, they usually execute pretty efficiently.
Do you think that's an advantage that you saw coming when you took the Army job and when you came to this program, was just that like there is something different about recruiting kids at Army and what they're going to and what their future plans are and where they're at mentally, is you kind of have to grow up fast, and it's just there's a lot more expected of you. It's just different. Like being preparing to go to the military is just a different kind of mindset. Do you think that's been about what you expected taking the job and what you've seen, and that is an inherent advantage for your team?
I don't know if I came in with the expectations that that this was what it was going to be. That the guys would, professional and well prepared and handle everything we throw at them. Our guys are more like other college football players than probably most people realize. When we recruit them, they're not guys who filled out a questionnaire and said, "I've always dreamed of going into the Army." They're not guys talking to the local Army recruiters when they come through their high school and like, "Oh, West Point, yeah, this fits in perfect for what I want." Our guys are like everybody else's, and everybody else has great kids on their team. Every team in the country has players that could come to school here they have the academic credentials, they've got the leadership skills, they're certainly capable athletes and could play for us as they play for other schools at this level. But our guys are the ones that chose to serve. They're the ones that made the commitment, and that commitment and having the maturity and maybe the foresight to say, what's on the horizon for me? What does it look like for my future if I choose school X, Y, Z, or Army? So our guys, they are able to handle a lot, but there's a lot on them. Our guys are taking, there's times during the season guys are taking 21, 22 hours in a semester. That's a lot. They do that in the spring, they do that in fall. They get 4 years to graduate. So there's a lot on them, and that, along with the professional standards, and they've got to be up every morning for a formation. They got to have their hair cut. They got to be shaved. They got to have a uniform that looks good. Everything squared away in an order, and all that would take in 18, 19, 22 hours a semester, and playing college football. That's a lot. So they learn to handle a lot of things and figure out how to get it all done, which is a real challenge. And just that ability to be able to handle all those things, I think, sets them apart. And those challenges, though they can be a real burden sometimes, it also can be a bit of an advantage. Just the ability to handle adversity, because our guys are going to face adversity a lot, and lack of sleep, and the stress of, okay, I got to decide between studying for another hour for this test I've got tomorrow, or closing the book and going to sleep so I can get 3 or 4 hours of sleep tonight. Literally 3 or 4 hours of sleep, crossing their fingers. So there's nights like that here, and all those challenges, I think, create a resiliency in those guys and a mental toughness that I think is an advantage for us.
Have you seen that Kara Lawson clip that went around this week, talking to her team? You would love it. It's about embracing the hard, is just not lying, and she's fantastic. And that's not just a biased thing with the Tennessee aspect, but just awesome. Of just like, we're not gonna lie to you, it's gonna get hard, and it's preparing you to accept hard. And when it get like, that's just life. It's going to be hard, and you got to learn how to deal with hard. And dealing with hard well is where successful people are. Is successful people are people who deal with hard well. And that's probably the mantra of your program and what you've built, like the dominance over Air Force and Navy to this point. And just, I think people take for granted what I grew up with Army. It just wasn't like this. Like, this is the best stretch of Army football in my lifetime. And I think that's part of it. It's embracing the hard and just dominating over that. And it's just like, the expectation's high, but this is what we're going to do. It's going to work. Follow me. I promise we're going to get there. And they've kind of seen the results now.
Well, you said the word embrace. There's a phrase here called "embrace the suck," and it is true, because it's suck sometimes. It's going to be really hard. You can accept it, and you'll just comply. You'll just survive and do the best you can, or you can embrace it and see that it is an opportunity. That it's not a burden. It is an opportunity to create a better version of yourself and try to get closer to becoming the best version of yourself that exists. And so you embrace those opportunities where it's really tough and really difficult and very challenging. That's hard to do because human nature, we just try to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And embracing the challenges is different. And I think our guys do that. And if they didn't, they would leave here. And every one of them has 100% of them have an opportunity to check out. They don't owe anything. They don't need any time. They don't owe any money, but they don't. And the ones that stay have embraced that and realized that it is an opportunity for them to grow.
What is the biggest difference between head coach Jeff Monken in 2022 and head coach Jeff Monken in 2012?
Holy moly. We don't have enough time to talk about things. I feel like I'm continuing to learn and to grow and to improve. There's a lot of things I did in 2012 that I wish I'd have done differently. There's a lot of things I did in 2021 that I wish I'd have done differently. I'm going to try to do better in 2022. But I'm more patient. I'm more accepting of, I guess, the fact that these are young men that are going to make mistakes. And most of them are trying to do exactly what you tell them to do. And when they fall short, it's far more often my fault or the fault of us as coaches or as a staff, which I'm completely responsible for, than it is the players. And they all want to learn. They all want to perform their best. They all want to contribute to the team. Their best friends are the guys on that team, so they don't want to let anybody down. And realizing that if we fall short of our expectations, it's my responsibility. And that's probably the biggest difference. And as an assistant coach, you don't see that as much. The lens changes when you become the head coach. And Paul Johnson always said that. He said, it's different when you're the head coach. And he's right. It is different as the head coach. But I've been so fortunate. I've been so fortunate to work at two incredible places. Georgia Southern, the winning tradition there, the support, the expectations there. I was an assistant coach there for 5 years. So coming back, I knew exactly what it was. And just to be there and to get that program to a point where we were a championship team again and making deep run in the playoffs. Probably my biggest regret is we never made it to the national championship game while we were an FCS team. But really, just really proud of that program. And then to come to Army and this program has as good a tradition as anybody in the nation. I'll put it up against anybody for the teams and the players and the coaches and the success and the stadium and the institution and who we represent. It's incredible. So I've been very, very fortunate, and I'm glad that I've at least learned a little bit along the way each year and try to improve and get better and we've been able to kind of sustain some success here, and hopefully it'll last.
Do you remember what you were thinking and what it felt like the first Army-Navy game? Like, do you have that in the back of your mind of what that was like and just being on the sidelines for something like that? And you're like, oh, I'm coaching. This is this is happening. Yeah, all eyes are on me.
Yeah. And when I came here as the head coach in 2014, the first time I coached an Army-Navy game at Army, we walked into the stadium and kind of got in the locker room and got everybody settled. And I finally made that trip down the corridor as you come out into the stadium, and somebody was walking with me, and we took about, 6 steps onto the field, and I just said, gosh, I forgot what this felt like. And just a different energy in that stadium than a typical game. And so that came rushing back, and it feels that way every single year. There's that rush of energy and emotion in that game. It's really incredible.
Do the players treat it differently? Can you just tell the week leading up? Like, it's a big deal, not just for the coaches and the cadets and everybody else. It's just like this is a big thing. You want to dominate this rivalry. You want to beat Navy.
There's certainly a different feeling I know for the players, and really what we try to do is take the pressure off of them and just let them enjoy it. It is one of the best rivalries in sports, in my opinion, the best rivalry in college football and maybe in the world of sports. For what these young men represent when they take the field and battle against each other, and all the men and women that serve under those branches of service that they represent, it's really incredible, and it's a lot. And there's an intense amount of responsibility that they feel in that game, and so we try to take as much of that off of them as we can and just let them enjoy it. But it's hard to avoid, and the guys realize what a big game it is, and but that's why they come here. They come here so they can play in that game and big games like it. So it's a fun game for all of us. It's not much fun when you're not on the winning side, but it's a heck of a lot of fun when you win that game.
Well, you bring back your quarterback, you bring back your running back this year. Are you feeling pretty good about being able to build off last year? Is there a stretch of games that you're most curious to see how your team, you talked about the bye week and needing that at that point in the season with Ball State and playing in the heat in Georgia against Georgia State? Is there a stretch when you're looking at it and you're like, this will probably tell me everything I need to know about where our season's headed? And then in terms of position groups, are you feeling pretty good about where you are top to bottom? Is there one group that you feel is going to be pretty strong and you want to keep an eye on?
Our opening game is at Coastal Carolina. So
that's going to be fun, man.
Well, I think they've lost 3 games in 2 seasons. They got an unbelievable football team, a terrific coach, a great quarterback, an unbelievable supporting cast. That what they have done down there is incredible. So we play them in the opener in Myrtle Beach at 7:00, which that won't help any. It'll be 104 on the turf.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a challenge. A great football team and playing on the road and in the heat. We come back here and play UTSA, who they might be the one of the most talked about teams in college football in the last couple of years, along with Coastal Carolina and the success that they've had. So we've played down there twice in the last, I guess, 4 years or so, and now they're returning the favor and coming back here. I think that's a tough 2 games to start the year. They're talented. They're well coached. They've got a winning pedigree now. They just, the belief that their players have that they're going to win the game. It'll be a challenging team. So we play some great teams, some very tough football teams this year. And that game against Wake Forest here was just an absolute shootout. We got to go.
That was fun, yeah.
Here, that was fun for them. They got.
Well, it's just the different styles, like the Sam Hartman style and y'all side. Like I will say, like the color scheme match. That's not as great when you're trying to figure out what you're looking at sometimes. But yeah.
Well, every week's a challenge for us.
Yeah,
it is, because of all of the other challenges that we have that go along with being an Army football player. But one of the satisfying things about winning a football game here, when you win a football game in Army, it's a big deal. It doesn't matter who you play. And so we're focusing on that opener down in Myrtle Beach, and hopefully we'll be able to go down there and play our best.
Well, we'll end on this because it's interesting with the 2 high-octane offenses with Wilson and Chadwell's groups. But you look at your defense, and that's been one of the big characterizations. You're an offensive guy, but Army defense is you can't have one without the other, and you're just such a well-balanced team on both sides of the ball. And when you talk about the Wake Forest game, it's like that's not the situation you find yourself in very often at Army. That's not you don't find yourself in many shootouts in that respect. And obviously, like you've seen your tree grow, like going to North Carolina, losing your DC. That's a big thing. And now you're looking at this group. Like, how do you what's the best way of summarizing like why your defense has been as dominant as it's been over 8 years, and you're just so well equipped to withstand whatever kind of high octane offense that you're faced with?
Well, you asked about position groups, and I failed to answer that question for you. And
No, you're good.
there's some groups of guys on this team that are coming back that I think are solid, and I wouldn't want to leave anybody out. I think there's some good players at each position group. The defense has been really an important piece to our success with the job that Jay Bateman did, and now that Nate Woody's doing. We play. I think we play good team football. I've got an offensive background, but I'm not an offensive coach here. I'm our head coach, and really, I want to coach our whole team and give our team the best chance to win. So our coordinators, Nate Woody on defense, Brent Davis on offense, Sean Saturnio, who coordinates the special teams, does a great job. Those three guys, and giving them what they need, equipping them with what they need to have the most success in their particular area, but play a good brand of team football. So one of the reasons we run the ball is because we want to control the clock. We want to limit the possessions for our opponent. Since I've become the coach here in 8 seasons, we've played the fewest number of snaps in college football by hundreds of snaps. It's 600, 700, 800 snaps. It's mind blowing how the difference. But so part of the way we play defense is how we play offense, running the football, controlling the clock. And then defensively, it's not a defense where we take a lot of risk, because people get behind us and then go the distance in a hurry. We don't want to give up 1 and 2 yard or 1 and 2 play drives. Excuse me. I mean, where it's just a pinball machine. That's kind of the way the Wake Forest game ended up. Yeah, and it didn't end up good for us. It's keeping everything in front of us, but playing very aggressive up front, and that's really kind of been the philosophy both of Jay and of Nate. So I think it's just an overall scheme, offense, defense, special teams combined, and they've got to complement each other. And I think that's really important. Doesn't matter what offense you run, you got to have a defense that complements it. Doesn't matter what defensive scheme you run, you better have an offense that complements that, and play special teams and have a philosophy on special teams that fits your offense and defense. I think that's really important. I think we've done that well. Obviously not perfectly. We've lost some games, but our coaching staff does a great job, and our players, they are the best I've ever been around for doing as much as they possibly can to follow what the coaches are saying. I mean, to the letter, and that keeps those coaches on the same page with the players, and it allows them to make corrections, and it allows them to be able to change what we do and tweak schemes to best fit the strength of position groups or individual players.
I like it. Coach, I appreciate you making the time this afternoon.
Pleasure.
This was a lot of fun. How did the good folks support Army football and everything you got going on this fall? Is there anything you would like to plug as we wrap up here?
We're excited about the 2022 season. Got a great bunch of guys coming back, good leaders and tough guys that love this team and love this school and love representing the Army. And we're all very, very proud to be part of West Point and this community and this incredible institution. So looking forward to the 2022 season, and as always, beat Navy.
There you go. I gotta go to a game. I gotta get up for an Army Navy game. That's on the bucket list. We'll make it happen. Coach Monken, thank you so much. Good luck this season, and we'll have to circle back again sometime in the future.
You got it. Looking forward to it. Beat Navy.